So in this video, I am talking to you about two of the most frequently used plugins in my DAW. These are plugins that I use for every single song that I mix and master. Every song I ever record in Logic Pro. You can use this for any DAW, but I use Logic Pro X. You can use these for Pro Tools, for Cubase, for Nuendo, Live, etc., etc. These two plugins will seriously make your life a lot easier. I cannot vouch for them enough. This video is not sponsored. I wish it was, but it is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. These two plugins are Gullfoz, which is made by Sound Theory, and Ozone, which is made by iZotope. These are two plugins that one of them got recommended to me, Gullfoz, and one of them was something that I found on a Black Friday sale that I ended up falling in love with. So I'm gonna talk to you about these two plugins, how I use them. I'm gonna give you a before and after of how my mix sounds with one of my original songs called Vision, and I'll show you what the song sounds like before Gullfoz and Ozone and what it sounds like after Gullfoz and Ozone. And I'll link both of these plugins down below where you can get easy access to them. Again, totally not sponsored. I am making this video because I genuinely use these products all the time. So this is my DAW, and as you can see on my stereo out track, I have Gullfoz and Ozone. Now this is the chain that I like to use. This is the signal flow chain that I like to use and have Gullfoz go first and have everything kind of go through Gullfoz. I don't have a lot of the parameters activated in Gullfoz. I'm only using a couple here, and I'll explain these in a little bit. And then I send all of that through Ozone, and I'll show you how I work with Ozone as well. So we're gonna start with Gullfoz. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up Gullfoz right here, stereo track, and I'm gonna play my track right here. Now it might seem like Gullfoz is not doing anything because you don't see anything in the parameters. What's cool about Gullfoz is actually you won't notice anything until you start messing around with the recover, tame, bias, brighten, and boost options right here. Now, the recover one will basically analyze your track, and anything that it's missing will kind of fill in the gaps here. So I'll kind of show you how that works. So as I'm playing this, I'll start bringing this up, and it'll start analyzing my track and saying, okay, it needs a little bit more high end here, a little bit more low end here, and it's making those adjustments. And you can actually kind of hear how instantaneous that change is just from here to here, right? Now, if I want it to be a little bit more brighter, I want a little bit more punch, a little bit more pop in the higher frequencies, I'll take brighten and I'll just bring that up as well. You can hear without Gullfoz how kind of muddy and mid-rangey the song sounds, but when I turn Gullfoz on and I have the recover and brighten options turned up, and it's just, a couple, 49%, 44%, but it's making a big difference. Now with bias and tame, I'm going to be completely honest, I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of how those parameters work, but I do know that, again, in listening to my track, I mess around with those parameters just a bit, kind of go up, kind of go down, and see what's sounding better in my ear, right? And again, it's for me personally, for my music, I like to have my stuff not sound muddy. I want it to be punchy. I want it to be clear, high intensity kind of mixes, if you will, that punch. There's a good enough high end, but it also bumps. You'll hear the bass in the mixes. You'll hear the kick in the mix. Like I like more of the stuff that's bright and in your face, if you will. So anyways, now if you're playing around with Gullfoz and you see that it's doing too much with the lower end or with the higher end, you can actually say, all right, look, from 20 hertz to about 40, like leave those frequencies alone. Don't do anything with those frequencies. So you can actually say, hey, I don't really want you to mess with the high frequencies here. Gullfoz really, in my opinion, helps brighten your overall mix. It is my absolute go-to in making sure that my overall mix sounds as clear as I want it to clear, and I mess around with it all the time. If I don't get the sounds that I'm quite looking for, then I'll go to the actual tracks one by one and I'll EQ them a little bit different. If I'm saying, hey, I'm not getting enough kick that I want, then I'll go into the kick and adjust that individually. Or maybe the guitars are sounding a little too harsh, I'll adjust that individually, obviously. But for an overall mix, I think this is a nice sprinkle to put on top to kind of get your tracks to go from here to here as far as clarity and as far as brightness, and those are two words I've used over and over again, but really that's what I have found that really helps with Gullfoz. Again, Gullfoz is a plugin that is made by Sound Theory. It's a $120 plugin. In my opinion, it's absolutely worth every single cent. It's a plugin that I really wish I had access to in my early years of producing, because I feel like my earlier tracks would have sounded much better if I've had Gullfoz. I've actually gone back and taken some of my original tracks and remastered them through Gullfoz and Ozone, and it's just been a world of difference of what they sounded like before and what they sound like after Gullfoz. Now the next thing I do in my sidechain is bring up Ozone. Now I have Ozone Elements. Ozone Elements is the cheapest version of Ozone that you can get from iZotope. It's individually priced at $50 just for the plugin. Ozone really does come to the rescue for me when it comes to making my mixes bump and get them loud enough for competing with stuff that's on the radio or on Spotify or anything like that. Ozone is really easy to use, and for $50 I think it's absolutely worth the money. So again, I'm going to go to stereo here. And one of the cool things that you can do is you can actually have it do this master assistant. So what you'll do is you'll play the loudest part of your song here, and you'll click on master assistant and it'll say, what are you going for? Do you want high intensity, medium, or low? And do you want it to be streaming or to go on CD? So I'll say, hey man, I want the song to be high intensity and I want to go on streaming. So I will press next and it'll actually analyze my audio. It's setting the maximizer threshold. So I'll say accept. Now the thing is, my song was already loud to begin with. It was already peaking to begin with, and that's by design. I wanted it to kind of hit a little dirty, if you will, especially for this song and for this riff and that kind of stuff. And that's just the way that I produce. I know some people don't like that. That's the way I do my thing. So on the surface, it might look like I didn't do much. It's putting the ceiling at -1. It's putting the threshold at 0. You're like, what did it do? Well, if you go into the equalizer, it actually did make some changes here. And this is on top of Gullfoz. It's like, okay, cool. I noticed you need a little bit more mid-range. Your highs are a little too high. I brought those down a smidge. And now I'm evening it out over here. One of my favorite things to do though is to go here into Imager. I like to turn Imager on, and I like to move this to the 2 circles over here. And what this does is it actually widens up my mix. Now look at this vector scope right here. As I move it to the right, watch what happens. Now my mix opens up, right, to be a lot more stereo. Versus if I turn this off, kind of middle, open. Do you hear the difference? I think you need to put headphones on to hear this part. Open. That's my favorite part about Ozone, is putting on that Imager, because not only does it make my mixes bump, not only is it bumping because of the maximizer and the additional EQ that it's putting on top of Gullfoz, but the Imager, as I'm moving it towards these 2 circles over here, I'm opening the width of the mix, making my mix that much more encompassing, right? Making it sound like it's surrounding you as opposed to coming at you straight ahead. Now it's coming at you really from this 180-degree sphere, if you will. The Imager is a really, really big deal. I'm gonna play you a section of the song without Gullfoz and Ozone, and then I'll play it for you afterwards, and you can hear the difference between what these 2 simple plugins, and you saw how easy it was to use both of them, the difference that they make in the overall mix and master. So here they are before. Now we're going to turn Gullfoz and Ozone back on. We're going to listen to the same thing. It's just brighter, right? And it just hits better. Yeah, so there you go. Those are 2 plugins I use every single day that I absolutely love. Gullfoz by Sound Theory and Ozone 9 Elements by iZotope. Gullfoz is $120 and Ozone Elements by itself is $50. It's the cheapest version of Ozone that you can get. There's like a $250 version as well that I've not tried, so I can't vouch for it, but Elements I absolutely love for what it does. And you can get a bundle that includes a whole bunch of other plugins that I mentioned from iZotope for $140, which includes Ozone as well. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button. If I see that there's a lot of interest in this, I'll make more videos about how I make music and the content and the plugins and the stuff that I use to put that music together, the gear and all that kind of stuff. If that is of interest to you, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you've ever used any of these plugins, what do you think of them? Or if you have plugins that you think work even better than what I just showed you, by all means, let me know in the comment section down below. Again, in the description box down below, I will include direct links to Gullfoz and Ozone, so you can check them out for yourself if you are interested. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.